When I rearrange an equation from standard form of a linear equation to y equals mx plus b form, my job is to isolate for y, or to solve for y. Standard form is in the form ax plus by equals c. And you'll remember that a, b, and c are just numbers. So a and b are just coefficients, c is just a constant, and we want to rearrange that equation to solve for y. The only time that we really want standard form is when we're trying to find an x-intercept by letting y equal 0, or find a y-intercept by letting x equal 0. But y equals mx plus b is much easier in terms of what's my y-intercept and what's my slope or rate of change so that I can graph the line. So in order to isolate y, let's look at an example of how we're going to use our steps for solving an equation to do this. If I start with something like 6x plus y equals 12, and I want to change the standard form into y equals mx plus b, my final answer is going to look something like this green equation here, y equals something x plus something, or y equals mx plus b, where I'm filling in the m and the b. So how am I going to isolate y? Well, y already has a coefficient of 1 in front, so that's good news. I need to get rid of the 6x. I don't want it on the left-hand side. So if you have positive 6x on the left-hand side, we want to subtract 6x from both sides in order to eliminate it from the left-hand side, but still keeping everything in balance. So the next line of my algebra, y is now on its own, because remember 6x minus 6x makes 0. It's gone. And on the other side, I have 12 minus 6x. And now I just need to rearrange it to put the x term first. So my final equation is y equals negative 6x plus 12. So I know if I want to graph this, I would start at 0, 12 as the y-intercept, and my rate of change is negative 6, or negative 6 over 1 for my slope. So I want to start at 0, 12 and go down 6 and over 1 to the right, or I could go up 6 and over 1 to the left and just continue that pattern. In example 2, I have a couple of coefficients that I need to deal with. So now I have an issue because I have numbers in front of the x and the y, coefficients that I need to deal with. And I also have to get rid of this 5x, because remember the goal is to get this y on its own. So the very first thing I want to do is to get rid of that 5x. So I'm going to subtract 5x because it's plus 5x on the left-hand side to make 0. And if I do that on one side, I have to do that on the other side. So now I'm going to be left with 10y, because remember that this made 0, though that 5x term is gone. And I've got 15 minus 5x. I just want to put the x term first because it makes it easier to recognize the m and the b when we get it finally into y equals mx plus b form. So we're just switching around the x and the constant term. The last step is y is multiplied by 10. We have a 10y. So to get rid of the 10, I have to divide everything through by 10. So every single term gets divided by 10. And now I'm going to have to do a little bit of simplifying. And I will have decimal answers here. Let's keep them as fractions though, because that's going to be more helpful when it comes to graphing the line. So my final equation will be y equals negative 5 over 10 reduces to negative 1 over 2 x plus 15 divided by 10. I can divide top and bottom by 5, so plus 3 over 2. So remember that's just 1.5. So on my graph, the b value is 1.5, my initial value or y-intercept. So I'm going to start at 0, 1.5. And my slope or rate of change tells me to go down 1 and over 2 to the right, or up 1 and over 2 to the left. So that's going to help me graph my line.